He who doesn't command himself will obey anything, a phone, a habit, or someone else's plan. James Clear. Nothing in your life is random. Not your weight, not your bank account, not your loneliness, not the fights in your relationship, or the emptiness after another binge on social media. All of it, the results of what you do or don't do. Daily, repeatedly, with or without discipline. People want change. They want love, health, success, purpose, but they chase motivation, not mastery. They wait for the feeling, not the structure. But the truth is cold. Feelings are liars. Discipline is what builds. Motivation is what distracts. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up. When it's boring, when it hurts, when no one sees. It's about doing what must be done, even when your mind screams for escape. If you want results in anything, discipline is the invisible bridge between where you are and where you dream to be. You can wish for love, but without discipline, you'll destroy your relationship. You can want a strong body, but without discipline, you'll skip one workout, then 10. You can dream of wealth, but without discipline, your money leaks through every impulsive swipe of the card. Discipline is not a fitness word, it's a life word. It's needed when you choose not to yell back at your partner. It's needed when you push the plate away, even though it tastes good. It's needed when you open the laptop instead of scrolling, when you rest instead of numbing, when you say no instead of people-pleasing. It's in every moment that seems small but shapes your future. Without discipline, you drift, you react, you repeat. And the truth is, most people won't get what they want in life, not because they don't have dreams, but because they don't have the discipline to serve those dreams when it's hard, when it's cold, when no one claps. You're not stuck because of your circumstances. You're stuck because you keep negotiating with your comfort. And here's the most brutal part. You already know it. You felt it every time you broke a promise to yourself, every time you said tomorrow but meant never, every time you wanted something deeply but didn't move toward it. Discipline is the difference between watching others live and building a life you don't need to escape from. If this stirs something in you, if these words feel like they were meant for you, subscribe to the channel. Let the algorithm show this to others who need it now more than ever. Check out the Telegram for deeper content we don't post here. And if any part of you feels the call to rise, write in the comments, "I no longer run from pain." Let's see how many of us are truly ready. Let's be honest, most people won't admit this, but their life is a reflection of everything they avoid. They avoid structure, so they live in chaos. They avoid effort, so they stay in fantasies. They avoid discipline, so they settle for average. And they lie to themselves, calling it balance. But here's what no one tells you. Life without discipline isn't freedom. It's a slow decay. It's not a life. It's a cycle of restarts. You begin, you quit. You try, you doubt. You want, but you hesitate. You know what to do. You just don't do it consistently. That gap between knowing and doing, that's where dreams die. Discipline is the only thing that can carry you across that gap. Without it, you rely on luck. And luck doesn't care about your plans. Without discipline, you keep hitting the same wall. In your health, your business, your relationships, and you call it bad timing. It's not timing, it's self-betrayal on repeat. Look around your life, every area you're proud of. It didn't happen randomly. And every area that brings you shame, it's likely where you lacked structure, consistency, ownership. That's not a judgment, that's liberation. Because if your results are your responsibility, they can also be your redemption. People don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they think it should feel easier. And when it doesn't, they quit. But discipline was never supposed to feel easy. It was supposed to feel necessary. The same way breathing doesn't always feel exciting, but it keeps you alive. We praise talent. We envy genius. But the truth is brutal. Talent without discipline rots. Discipline without talent still wins. The consistent amateur outgrows the erratic prodigy every time. Not because they're better, but because they show up. And if that's not sinking in, hear this. Without discipline, your potential is nothing but a burden. It haunts you. It reminds you of what you could have done, if only you had the spine to keep going when it got hard. You don't need more motivation. You need more honesty. And the honest truth is, until you stop negotiating with your weakness, you'll stay where you are, in almost, in someday, in maybe. Discipline is what separates those who try from those who transform. And it doesn't care how you feel. It only cares what you repeat. You've been told you're lazy, that you just need more willpower, that you're the problem. But let me tell you the truth. Most people never hear. You're not lazy. You're disconnected. You're not undisciplined because you're weak. You're undisciplined because you haven't anchored your actions to something that matters deeply enough to fight for. When your actions don't serve a vision that ignites you, you will abandon them. That's not failure. That's biology. Discipline dies when it's built on empty goals. You say you want to work out, but you don't actually care about fitness. You care about being respected. You say you want to build a business, but it's not about money. It's about proving you're worth something. Until your daily actions are tied to your core emotional truth, you will keep breaking promises to yourself, because nothing rooted in shallow desire can survive real resistance. This is why your discipline collapses every time life gets heavy, because your why is too light. You chase aesthetics, not identity. You want outcomes, not ownership. But outcomes don't pull you through pain. Identity does. When your actions become expressions of who you are, not just what you want, discipline becomes natural. Not easy, but natural. Because you're not performing, you're aligning. Think of any time in your life when you were truly consistent. Was it because it was easy? No. It was because it felt necessary. Because it was tied to something that mattered. Survival, family, integrity, self-respect. That's the key. Discipline has to become internalized as non-negotiable. It has to be something you no longer argue with, not a tool you reach for when convenient. This is why most habits don't stick. You try to graft new behavior onto an old identity. You start going to the gym, but in your head, you still see yourself as someone who always quits. So your discipline breaks not because the gym is hard, but because holding that internal contradiction is exhausting. If you want lasting discipline, change what you believe about yourself first. The actions will follow. Discipline isn't a calendar strategy. It's a spiritual alignment. It's the moment you decide to no longer betray yourself. It's the decision to act from who you want to become, not from what you feel in the moment. Until your behaviors are tied to a future you believe in, they will always collapse under the pressure of your present emotions. And then you'll call it burnout. But it's not burnout, it's misalignment. Here's the part most people skip. Discipline cannot survive without meaning. You can force yourself for a few days. You can ride a wave of motivation for a few weeks. But the moment discomfort hits, your system collapses unless your actions are anchored to something deeper. That deeper thing is your why, not a slogan, not a Pinterest quote, a real, visceral reason that punches you in the chest when you think about giving up. If you don't know why you're doing something, your mind will always find a reason to stop. Your why must be bigger than your resistance. It must be louder than your excuses. That means it has to come from you, not your parents, not society, not Instagram. Real discipline begins when you stop trying to impress others and start acting from a vision that would still matter even if no one ever applauded. Because here's the brutal truth. There are days when no one will care what you're doing. No likes, no support, no visible reward. And on those days, only your why will keep you moving. To build that kind of discipline, you need to reverse the way you think about action. Most people act based on emotion. I feel like it, so I'll do it. But discipline is the opposite. It's acting regardless of emotion. It's building a new standard where your actions are tied to identity, not impulse. The question is no longer, do I want to? It becomes, is this aligned with who I'm becoming? That shift is where discipline grows roots. So how do you find that clarity? Start here. Close your eyes and picture your ideal life. Not the fantasy, not the filtered version, but the one where you feel proud of who you are every single day. What does that version of you do daily? How do they eat, speak, move, treat people, manage time? Now ask yourself honestly, how far are your current actions from that? That gap is the work, and discipline is the bridge. Here's the paradox. When you truly commit to that vision, you won't need constant motivation. Your pain of staying the same will become greater than the pain of change. That's the shift. It's no longer about forcing yourself, it's about refusing to keep betraying yourself. And that's when discipline stops being pressure and becomes alignment. Not something you do, but someone you are. Discipline becomes sustainable when your daily actions are no longer disconnected dots, but pieces of a bigger picture you believe in. You don't brush your teeth because it's thrilling. You do it because it's integrated into your identity. That's how discipline should feel: boring, consistent, non-negotiable, and sacred. There's a voice in your head that knows exactly how to destroy your progress. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It says, "You've done enough today. You can skip just this once. You'll start fresh on Monday." It pretends to care about your comfort, but its only mission is to keep you small. That voice is not your enemy. It's your oldest habit. And unless you learn how to respond to it, not argue, not fight, but override, you'll keep folding under its weight. This voice is what sabotages your goals before you even start. It's the quiet resistance that shows up when it's time to wake up early, when it's time to work out, when it's time to have that hard conversation, when it's time to face discomfort instead of numbing it. It doesn't hate you. It just fears change, because change is unfamiliar, and the mind craves certainty, even if that certainty is failure. The real battle for discipline isn't external. It's not your schedule. It's not your energy. It's this internal negotiation between your higher self and your comfort-addicted reflexes. And you've been losing not because you're incapable, but because you keep treating that inner resistance like a warning instead of what it really is, a test. That tension inside you is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're about to grow. You can't wait for the voice to disappear. It won't. But you can decide that it no longer gets a vote. That's what mental toughness is. Not silence, but choice. You hear the excuse, and you move anyway. You feel the fear, and you act anyway. You acknowledge the discomfort, and you lean in anyway. The stronger you become, the more quiet the voice gets. Not because it dies, but because it realizes you're no longer listening. And here's the key. Every time you override that voice, you build evidence. Evidence that you're not a prisoner of your past. that you're not defined by mood, fatigue, or fear. You become someone who can trust themselves. And that trust is what discipline actually is. It's self-trust in motion. You don't need to fight the voice. Fighting gives it power. You just need to make it irrelevant. You do that by making action your default. Not when it feels right, but because it is right. Because you've decided that comfort is no longer the goal. Alignment is. And when you live from that place, the voice becomes background noise. Still there, but powerless. And that's when you finally start to move forward without looking back. Discipline doesn't live in motivation. It lives in character. And character is not built in the easy moments. It's built when everything in you wants to stop and you move anyway. You don't need to feel strong to become strong. You just need to stop giving your feelings the final word. The people who win are not the ones who always feel ready. They're the ones who act when it's hard, when it's quiet, when no one's watching. This is the truth most people avoid. You're not supposed to feel like doing it. That's the test. The resistance you feel is not a signal to pause. It's an invitation to grow. And every time you show up despite that resistance, you shape your character. You prove to yourself that you're not controlled by comfort or fear. And slowly, silently, you become someone who finishes what they start. To build this kind of character, stop chasing intensity. Start chasing consistency. One workout doesn't change your body. One journal entry doesn't heal your mind. One hard conversation doesn't fix your relationship. Change is not an event. It's a direction. It's the sum of small decisions made daily, especially when they're uncomfortable. Character is a muscle, and discipline is how you train it. Start with simple, non-negotiable wins. Make your bed. Drink water before coffee. Move your body for 10 minutes. Shut down distractions when you said you would. Keep one promise to yourself per day. Not for the result, but for the identity it builds. These are not hacks. They are signals to your brain. I can trust myself, and that self-trust becomes the foundation of discipline that doesn't rely on hype. But it's not just about doing things, it's about how you do them. Are you doing them with resentment, with ego, with urgency? Or are you doing them with presence, with intention, with pride? The way you show up to small tasks is how you'll show up when life gets hard. Every action is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. So vote wisely, because your identity is being built in every moment you think doesn't matter. In the end, the strongest people are not those who never break. They're the ones who rebuilt themselves every time they did. And that rebuilding starts with small, quiet, disciplined actions, long before anyone sees the result. This is how winners are made. Not by avoiding failure, but by becoming too consistent to stay defeated. That's character. And character is the foundation of a life that doesn't collapse. You've been lied to, not once, repeatedly, subtly, systematically. You were taught that discipline is suffering, that it means suppressing who you are, that it's cold, harsh, and joyless. Be disciplined became code for be miserable. And so your brain made a connection. Discipline equals pain. Discipline equals pressure. Discipline equals losing yourself. No wonder you resist it. Who wouldn't? But that's not discipline. That's a distorted version sold to you by a system that benefits when you stay weak. They want you impulsive, reactive, addicted to comfort, controlled by moods. Because a person who lives with structure, clarity, and power can't be manipulated. So they programmed you to see discipline as the enemy, But the truth is simple. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It's the path to it. Discipline is not about going against yourself. It's not about killing joy or grinding until you collapse. Real discipline is alignment. It's the daily expression of your deepest values through consistent action. It's how you love yourself in the long term, not just the next 10 minutes. Discipline doesn't say you're not enough. It says you're worth the effort. The world told you discipline is about control, but real discipline is about liberation. It frees you from chaos, from regret, from stagnation. It doesn't confine you. It gives you shape. It doesn't crush your spirit. It carries it forward. And the moment you stop connecting it to pain and start linking it to your dream life, everything changes. Discipline equals the life you say you want. That's it. No poetry, no hype, just truth. You don't build a life of purpose without it. You don't sustain love, health, clarity, or abundance without it. And if you're tired of starting over, tired of loops, tired of being tired, it's not more rest you need. It's more discipline connected to the right things. There are 3 non-negotiables. First, a vision that ignites you. A future version of yourself so compelling that quitting becomes painful. Without that, your energy scatters. You chase trends instead of building truth. Second, unshakable discipline in daily action. Not dramatic, not intense, just honest, consistent repetition. And third, a forged character that acts regardless of weather, mood, or fear. The kind of internal steel that doesn't ask, "How do I feel?" It asks, "What needs to be done?" When you bring these 3 together, the fire of your vision, the structure of your discipline, and the weight of your character, you become unstoppable. Not in a cliché way, in a grounded, observable, undeniable way. You become someone who moves differently, talks differently, builds differently, and most importantly, finishes. So no, discipline is not pain. Discipline is the container for your greatness. It's the road, the engine, and the fuel. Pain comes from resistance, not from action. The more you run from structure, the heavier your life becomes. But the moment you surrender to it, not as punishment, but as practice, that's when the lightness begins. You already know what to do. You've always known. Now it's time to stop confusing chaos with freedom. Stop glamorizing ease. Start choosing the path that makes you proud, not just comfortable. Discipline is love. It's clarity. It's choosing your future self over your current mood. And every day you do that, even a little, you rise. If this message cracked something open in you, subscribe to the channel. That way, more people who are ready for truth, not sugar, will hear it. Tap into the Telegram. That's where we go deeper, rawer, and without filters. And if you feel the pull to step into your discipline, your fire, your real self, drop in the comments, "I accept my shadow." Say it as a contract, as a decision, as a beginning. Because this is only the beginning.